enjoyed last Sunday. I really do. I hope that you really enjoyed that. And I am convinced the older I get, the more Sundays we should have like that throughout the year. I don't think we as God's people talk about how awesome it is. It's very encouraging when you hear other people testify to what God is doing. And realize that the God who parted the Red Sea is the God who's still active in our lives today. That what He's done for Grace, He can do for me. It's good. But this week, the Lord really laid on my heart, well, what about the waiting? Because sometimes we have to wait on God, don't we? And that is ridiculous, isn't it? None of us like waiting. Do any of you like waiting? You go to the doctor's office. You're there 5 minutes early, and yet you still wait a half an hour to go back. The day after you go back, you wait 15, 20 minutes for the doctor to come in. I have told many doctors, your time is no more valuable than my time. Since you made me wait, you can wait a half an hour before I'll let you see me. And I'll mess up your schedule because you've messed up mine. I don't like waiting. I don't think it's fair. If you have an appointment, you have an appointment. I hate it when you go to the grocery store and grab 2 or 3 things and you have to wait in a huge line. Are you kidding me? What does the word express mean? Right? Or am I the only one who feels that way? Y'all not being honest this morning. Or traffic. Because some moron is in the left lane wanting to make a right-hand turn. So they just start to inch over, and everybody has to come to a stop for this idiot to do what they want to do, instead of going straight, making a left-hand turn, and figuring it out and making it correct. I can't stand waiting. There's no reason to wait. You know what the problem is? We live in a no-waiting society. Do you pay attention to what's happening in the world around you? They have a machine now who can give you instant hot water because we can't wait 3 or 4 minutes for it to come to boil on the stove. Really? What else is instant now? Coffee. Instant milk. Frozen food. You want Kraft macaroni and cheese? Just take the little cup, pop in the microwave, 2 minutes later you eat. It's really that hard to boil water and make the sauce and mix it up? We live in a no-waiting society, don't we? You want popcorn? Throw it in the microwave. 5 minutes later, chow down. You all are the worst generation with no waiting. Do you realize that? One thing we said to the kids when we went on the retreat is they were not allowed to bring electronic devices. No handheld game systems, no MP3 iPods, no telephones. Do you know how hard that was for students to do that? So much so that probably 80% of them still had it with them. Stupid. Because it was confiscated like they said it would be. They couldn't go without being connected. We go someplace, your address, home phone, cell phone. We don't have cell phones. Everybody goes, what do you mean you don't have cell phones? We don't have cell phones. What do you mean you don't have cell phones? We don't own a cell phone. But how are we going to reach you? The home telephone number. What if you're not there? That's why we have an answering service. You leave a message. We call you back. People don't understand that. How in the world can you live? We live in a no-waiting society. They want to reach you then and want your response then. And it's dribbled over into the Christian world. We don't like to wait on God. If we go to God with a problem, we expect His answer now. Fix the situation now. Remember I told you about Mrs. D. McCoy who comes to my church? Her husband was a pastor, had an affair. It's been 10 years he's been doing this. Moved out of the house, moved in with a girlfriend. She's had a hard time. He called her and said, money situation's going to have to change. I'm not gonna be able to give money like I did before. Will you be okay? She said, well, it'll be fine, but the girls have to come out of private school then. I won't be able to keep them at Arlington because I won't have the money. So he said, well, can we sit down and talk about it? She was like, we can't just talk right now on the phone. He said, no, well, I really would like to sit down and talk. So they met for breakfast yesterday. And all he said was, well, I think we should keep them into the end of the school year, so I'll go back and figure out some figures and see what we can do to keep them at school. And she looked at me and she said, this we could have done on the phone. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Do you know what he said? I want to come home. He's been going back to church. The Lord's been talking to him. I want to come home. He's realizing how wrong he was. She's been waiting over a year. God's working. She told him, you need to move out of her apartment and move in with your father. We need to go through counseling, and then we'll see where it takes us. So we're praying that he'll follow through with that and be really serious about it. She's been waiting. And you know it hasn't been easy to wait, right? So what do we do while we're waiting? What do we do? Well, the idea of waiting on God, which I don't like that phrase, I think it's waiting with God, is different biblically than it is in our understanding of our culture. And it's found in Isaiah 40, verse 31. You don't have to turn there, I have it up here. Isaiah 40, 31, now you gotta remember it though, okay? Those who wait on the Lord will find new strength. They will fly high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Those who wait on the Lord will find new strength. They will fly high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. But you know me, I like to ask questions. When God is working, what do you do? What do you do when you're faced with a really rough situation, a tough class, a teacher you don't see eye to eye with, disagreements with your parents, problems at church? What do you do while you're waiting? And be honest, what do you do?
Talk to him.
Talk to him, okay. Well, what do you say?
Tell him how I feel and
How do you feel?
well, it depends on the situation. So.
Okay. Does anybody get angry with God ever? Because we want him to fix it now. Right? It's been 2 days. Right? What else do? Do you worry ever? Stress over it? Oh, absolutely. Do you play the scenario game? In other words, when I see her, I'm going to tell her this. And she's probably going to say this. And I'm going to tell her, oh yeah, and I'm going to say this. And she's going to say this. And do you ever do that? You're laughing because you do.
No.
You don't? Some of us do. Some of us work through a whole conversation. And then when we see them, it doesn't go anything like that at all. do those things? Why do we fret and worry? Why do we get angry? Why do we play through scenarios? Why do we stress over it? We don't want to wait. You're right. That's the problem. None of us like to wait. Last night, we had breakfast about 9 o'clock, 9:30. Lunchtime, we really didn't have lunch. I had a couple slices of cheese and some dill pickle chips. That was my lunch. So my wife came in, we decided we were gonna get pizza, because Seasons Pizza has a really good deal. And we can get 3 pizzas for less than $30, and you can't beat that. And these are large pizzas. So she said, no. I said, well, I really would like to eat by 6:30 at the latest. No problem. 5:30 came and I said, Chambers, are you aware of the time? I got it, you don't need to worry about it. Well, we didn't eat till after 7 o'clock. And I'm trying to get her to understand is when I eat that late, I have acid episodes in the night which triggers my asthma. And yes, it happened last night because we ate too late. I was so angry while I was waiting for that pizza. This is ridiculous. Why does it always have to be on her terms? Why does it, no big concern, I'm sick of. We don't like to wait. It was a half an hour off, well, maybe 45 minutes off. But it still wasn't 6:30 like us. Aren't we like that? Why don't we like to wait? What is so against our grain about waiting?
I think it's just today's society, they want everything fast.
A lot of you in here are thinking, I'm gonna get a degree and get out, I'm gonna get a job at like $60,000 to $70,000 a year, and I'm gonna really, good luck with that one. Because that's our culture, right? You all think when I'm gonna get my first car, I'm gonna get this kind of car, and it's gonna be fancy and juiced up and getting everything on it. You drive around a 65 Pinto. Shut up. Right? Because that's the culture we live in. If you want it, what do? You get it. That's why there's so much credit card debt in our culture and our country. People don't know what it's like to say, boy, I'd like to have a new TV, and then save up the money and buy it a year later. People don't know what that's like. We do. We sit there and say, boy, I'd like to go out to dinner. Oh, look, I found a coupon, 2 Whoppers for $4. Okay, let's go. You get 2 Whoppers and a glass of water, and hey, for other people to go out, eat where they want, use that charge card. And we live in a culture of self-gratification, instant self-gratification. If you want it, get it. Nobody knows what it's like to wait. But I believe, according to the Bible, there are 4 results that come from waiting. There are 4 things we gain by waiting with God to solve our situations. Are you ready? Those who wait on the Lord shall, do you remember? Find new strength. We gain new strength by waiting. You gain new strength by waiting. Did you ever stop to think that in your problem, if God brought the situation to the close the way He wanted, you're not strong enough spiritually to handle it? So He's being merciful and gracious to you. And while you're waiting with Him, because you know He's working behind the scenes, right? First off, we have to accept that as truth. If that's not the truth, then we need to have a different kind of conversation. God's always working behind the scenes. You wait for Him, He builds up your strength. What I find amazing, we can feel weak or spent, intimidated, absolutely frustrated, even devastated. But God takes our weaknesses and replaces it with His strength. That is one thing about God I have never gotten over, and I hope I never get over. Is that God calls us to do certain things in life, and then He gives us the strength and the ability to do it. Did you hear that? God says, wait on me. I'll do it, but you need to wait. And while we're waiting, He gives us the strength to wait. He takes away our weaknesses and our feelings of distress and despair. And He gives us new strength. Strength to finish the waiting and strength to deal with the situation. I was talking about Dee today in church. And I told her, I said, you know what? If your husband had done this even 8 months ago, you would not have been open to him reconciling. And she said, you know what? You're right. Because she was still angry over what he had done. She was still finding out information. In her waiting, praying that God would work in his life, not to get back together, but just so he can get himself straightened out with God, He built up her strength. So when he dropped this bomb, she was like, are you serious? Where I know if it had been earlier, she'd been like, no. In her waiting with the Lord, He built up her strength. It's very much like Aunt Judy. A month ago, maybe even a little more than a month ago, Aunt Judy was rushed to the hospital, and we thought for sure we were going to lose her. She was unresponsive. She was just gone. Then Aunt Judy became delusional. She was seeing and dreaming. She thought that the hospital was in her original home. She was amazed that they put on all these floors on top of the house and expanded it to hold this many people, and I was like, wow, really? And she had to wait. She would get so frustrated. I want to go home. You have to wait, Angie. But see, while she was waiting, she just didn't sit in the bed and wait. She was over there walking steps, learning how to lie down, roll over in bed, get out of bed, wash dishes, how to get around in the bathroom. She went from being in a wheelchair to walking with a walker part of the way. They told us when she came home, she would have to have home rehabilitation services from Medicare, probably up to a month. Is that okay? They told us that if she walks around, she'll have to use a walker. We're going to order her one. Okay? And she got to the point where she said, you know what? If that's what has to be done, it's okay. He built up her strength to the point where she said, I'll do what I have to do. The day that she was leaving, they came and told her she does not need home health rehabilitation at all. She does not need a walker. You may want to take it with you if you go on a long distance in case she gets tired, but she doesn't need it. We were looking into getting her one of those electric wheelchairs and things. Because not only did he build up her strength to deal with what she had to deal with, he actually built up her physical strength and restored her to where she wanted to be. But it only came because she was waiting. So while we wait with God, He takes our weaknesses and gives us strength. He builds us up. He strengthens our spirit. Secondly, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings and fly high like eagles. What that means is we get a different perspective. We get a better perspective. It gives us a chance to rise above and look at the situation and go, it's not that bad. Or maybe I did handle that incorrectly. This is a fact interesting about eagles. I don't know if everybody's talking about an eagle's eyesight. Have you ever heard about that? The eagle eye? Supposedly they have really good vision. They're able to spot a fish in a lake several miles away. Several miles is 3 to 4 miles away. If it's a clear day, they can spot a single fish in a lake 3 to 4 miles away. And God can do the same thing for us. He can let us rise above it and get a new perspective on our situation. Takes you up to the clouds and makes you look down, and for you to realize it's not as bad as I thought. Right? I still don't have my car. Last week, Joseph Feldman called. He is the man who owns Maven Motors Bodywork. He is the father of the son who destroyed my car. He called because he got my message that I was having it moved to Thompson Automotive Group because they're certified by the insurance company. And he called up and he says, is there any way you would let me fix the car? And I said, my problem is if something's not right, I have no insurance company to fall back on. I'm stuck with the way it is. Because I'm asking you, as a follower of God, will you trust me and let me work on the car? So I said, I really don't know. I said, this is my car. I said, I really like my car. I said, I paid more money so it's a special edition. It was in really great shape. I don't want squeaks. I don't want rubbings. I don't want a door I want a good car. I said, your son messed it up. Driver side, front, and passenger side. Punctured, I had a hole in my tire, literally that big. Because he must have thrown us into the curb, I don't know. Because I'm asking you, because I'm an honest man, because I love the Lord and I try to do right by him. So I said, I have to talk to my wife. I said, I'll call you tomorrow and let you know. Well, he's repairing my car. I'm not totally comfortable with it, to be honest. But I felt it's what God wanted us to do. We really feel God put us in Joseph's life to share the fact that Jesus is the Messiah. He has such a bad impression of Christians. He's near Empowerment Temple, which is not a good church. It's huge, but it's not a good church. Pastor drives a Bentley, almost $500,000 when he works in a slum area of the city. His ATMs in the foyer. He has a cash and a credit card line for offering. He encourages people to put offering on their credit card. I'm waiting on God to see what he does. And in my waiting, I've gotten a different perspective. It's not about my car. It's about introducing Joseph to Yeshua Mashiach, Jesus the Messiah. That's our prayer, is that we would know how to approach that with him. Maybe go visit his synagogue, go to his Sabbath service on a Friday night. Maybe invite him to our service one Sunday. Who knows what God's going to do? But waiting with God has given us a new perspective. It's not about the car. You can always get another car. But once a man loses his soul, it's over. It gives you a new perspective. He gives you new strength. He gives you a new perspective. Back to the verse says, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not grow weary. Third point, we store up energy. While you're waiting with God, and again, waiting is an active thing, not like the doctor's office. It's not passive, it's active. You store up energy. He gives you the strength and the energy, the drive, the passion to get through the situation. Notice that it's in the future tense. It's the future tense. We will run and not get tired. You feel tired now. You're waiting. But in the act of waiting with God, you're going to find yourself running and seeing things being done. You will be amazed and overwhelmed by what God can do. You will keep going when it seems impossible. When we do encounter the situation on which we're waiting, we'll encounter it with new strength. Extra energy will be ours. You'll be prepared for what God brings. I have told you about a good friend of mine, Gina. Do you remember Gina? Good childhood friend. Good childhood friend. We have known each other since elementary school. That's over 40 years. She lived next door to me. It was my house and woods, a small woods, and then her house. We even shared a dog and didn't know it. I had a little brown terrier named Chaco. He looked like Chaco, so I called him Chaco. He would leave for 2 days, and then come back. Then he would leave for 2 days, come back. One day, she's talking about her dog. I forget what they called him. And I'm like, what do you look like? She said, well, that's my dog. She goes, was that your dog? I'm like, yeah, we bought him. He's our dog. He disappears for 2 days. She goes, well, he comes over here and lives with us. I'm like, Dad, we even shared a dog. We're real good friends. Graduated together from high school. Finally got the family to come visit in Arlington. Family got saved. It was really neat. Well, I asked you to pray for Gina, right? Do you remember why? Cancer. She just found out she has less than a year to live. There's nothing more they can do for her. What is so amazing about my dear friend? She wants to die like a Christian. She's tried living as one. And now she knows it's time for her to die like a Christian. That's an energy that can only come from God to face death with that type of outlook. Don't cry for me. She goes, let's get together. We said we were going to go out to, there's a country steakhouse out above Eldersburg called Bullock's. Really good. Y'all would love it. It's excellent. She goes, let's still go and do that. She goes, you said you wanted to get together at Christmas. That's good. And I'm like, okay, we'll do whatever we can do for whatever time we have left. While she's been waiting, God's been preparing her. He's given her the strength to hear the diagnosis. He's raised her up so that she can get a different perspective on it. He's given her the energy to make it to the last day. It's amazing what God will do when we wait with Him, for Him to work things out according to His plan. Finally, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not faint. We're going to persevere. We're going to persevere. I quoted this verse the whole time we were on the retreat. Every time I had to climb up the hill to the coffee house or to the cafeteria, I was like, Lord, you promised if I walk, I won't faint. I said, please don't let me fall apart in front of the students. Let me just, came home and about died. But I didn't fall apart in front of the students. I walked and I didn't faint. Sores all get out, still am. But I didn't faint. God gives us what we need. He will make us persevere. God whispers in our ear, you're going to be okay. He's been whispering to Gina, it's going to be okay. He kind of puts steel on our bones like Wolverine. You know what I mean? He builds us up beyond what we think we can handle. He just gives us that ability to persevere and not break down and not give in. We can begin to feel increasingly more invincible. That you know what, it doesn't matter what they do, I'm going to be okay. My brother called, I don't know how many weeks ago, because he couldn't reach Aunt Jean. Well, the sad part is the Sunday we brought Aunt Jean to our house, he called, and my daughter spoke to him and let him know that she is not feeling well and she would be staying at our house. He says, well, I'll call later when she's home. So I'm like, okay, that's how you want it. It's okay. Well, needless to say, he didn't call, so about a week later, he calls the house. Actually, it was a week and a half later, he calls the house. Yes, this is Dennis Spurrier. I thought, really? You're that big of a jerk? I said, hi, this is David, how are you? I acted so myself. Miss Karen was in the kitchen like, she goes, I can't believe you just acted like yourself. Because I will persevere. He can act stupid all he wants. I will persevere. God knows the truth. I have nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to defend, nothing. I had a strength that I probably would never have had before. Came up, because he was coming up to Maryland anyway to do something. Stopped by the hospital, left, I'll call you Sunday. Well, he didn't call. Calls a couple days later. I thought you were gonna call me. I was like, I'm sorry, you had said you were gonna call on Sunday. I didn't know what to do. Well, I just appreciate you keeping me informed of what's going on. I said, no problem. I called him and said she's coming out of the hospital. She'll be out on the 13th. She'll be moving in with us, which he knew when he came up to visit. She told him, I'm not moving back to my apartment. I'm gonna be living with David. She says he didn't quite understand why, and she was frustrated. She's like, well, who do you think I spend every holiday with? Who do you think takes me out? Who do you think spends time with me? Who do you think does stuff with me and for me? So he called Tuesday, and Kirsten said she's being released Thursday. She'll be at our house. She'll be there in the early afternoon. He goes, well, you text me and let me know when she's there. And Kirsten said, she'll be here Thursday in the early afternoon. Well, you just texted me, and he hung up. He has yet to call because Kirsten won't text him. Caitlin won't text him. I don't have a cell phone to text him. I picked up the phone the other night, dialed his number, and I told Aunt Jean, I said, I'm going to call Dennis. I said, the girls are supposed to text him. They won't do it. I don't want him to get upset and angry. I said, but I want you to know because I'm sure he's going to ask to speak to you. And she said, don't call him. She goes, he knows I was out of the hospital. He knows I'm living with you. If he really wants to call me, he's going to call. He doesn't have to get an invitation to do it. So now I'm waiting with God to see what happens when he does call. Because he's made Aunt Jean mad. But she's persevering. It's no big deal. So much can happen to us if we wait with God. That's all he wants. He doesn't want us to sit in a waiting room and say, well, let me know when you fix it. Walk with me, talk with me, read my word, spend time with me. This waiting period is when I can build you up. I can make you something new. I can do things in you that you never thought would be possible. Here's the problem. We think waiting is something we had to do, right? And be honest, before today, you all always thought, well, I just always got to sit around and wait on God. No, do you realize it's something God allows us to do? We have the privilege of waiting with God. We have the privilege to get new strength. We have the privilege to gain a different and better perspective. We are gonna have energy that we never had before, and we will persevere. We will get through it with excellence, even if the diagnosis is less than a year late. Gina will still come out of this shining like gold. Because her last breath here is her first breath in eternity. I feel sorry for her family who isn't saved. So if you think she got on your nerves before about sharing Jesus, oh, she will be relentless now. Any questions? Anything?